Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today, we're uncovering two of the rarest and most valuable United States Washington quarter dollar coins that could be hiding in everyday pocket change. One of these coins might be worth far more than its face value, so stay with us until the end. You won't want to miss these incredible discoveries. First coin United States Roosevelt dime minted in 2021 continues one of the longest-running coin designs in American history, carrying forward the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt while quietly reminding collectors that even modern pocket change can hold unexpected surprises. At first glance, it appears identical to countless other dimes passing through cash registers every day. Yet beneath its small size lies a fascinating story of precision, history, and the possibility that a seemingly ordinary coin could become an extraordinary conversation piece. The obverse displays Roosevelt's profile with crisp inscriptions including Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date 2021, while the reverse features John R. Sinek's iconic torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols representing liberty, peace, and strength. Although millions were produced for circulation, experienced collectors know that large mintages never eliminate the possibility of unusual varieties, striking differences, or exceptional preservation that can transform an ordinary dime into something far more desirable. By 2021, the United States Mint had already spent decades perfecting modern striking technology, but even advanced equipment cannot completely eliminate every unexpected outcome. Tiny adjustments in dies, pressure, alignment, and production speed can occasionally create coins that attract the attention of specialists years later. The Roosevelt dime remains composed of a copper core sandwiched between outer layers of cupronickel, giving it its familiar silver-colored appearance despite containing no silver for circulation issues. That layered construction, combined with high-speed manufacturing, creates endless opportunities for subtle variations that often escape notice, until careful collectors begin comparing one coin against another under proper lighting and magnification, turning routine pocket change into an exciting treasure hunt. Collectors are especially fascinated by the challenge of finding remarkable examples among coins that most people never examine closely. A 2021 Roosevelt dime fresh from circulation may show tiny contact marks, dull luster, or worn details, while an exceptional mint-state specimen can display brilliant cartwheel luster, razor-sharp lettering, and flawless surfaces that immediately stand apart. Those differences may seem insignificant to the average person, but within the numismatic community, they can dramatically influence desirability. The thrill comes from realizing that two coins with the same date and denomination can follow completely different paths simply because one survived in extraordinary condition, while another spent years changing hands unnoticed in everyday commerce. The excitement grows even stronger when collectors discuss mint errors and production anomalies connected with modern dimes. Although genuine errors remain uncommon, specialists carefully search for off-center strikes, die chips, doubled lettering, misaligned dies, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and other unusual characteristics that occurred during the minting process rather than through later damage. Every authentic error tells a unique story about the instant something unexpected happened inside the coining press, freezing a rare manufacturing event into metal forever. Because counterfeit alterations also exist, knowledgeable collectors understand that every unusual feature deserves careful evaluation before anyone assumes they have discovered something truly remarkable. Imagine opening a forgotten coin jar or receiving ordinary change after buying a cup of coffee, only to notice that one tiny dime looks slightly different from all the others. That single moment of curiosity has inspired countless collectors to begin examining their own pocket change more closely. Stories of remarkable discoveries continue to circulate throughout the hobby, not because valuable coins appear every day, but because patience, observation, and education sometimes reward those willing to slow down and pay attention. The emotional appeal comes from the possibility that an object worth only 10 cents in everyday spending could become a memorable part of a collection, or even spark a lifelong passion for numismatics. When conversations shift toward value, it is important to separate realistic expectations from exciting possibilities. Illustrative market scenarios often describe how minor yet collectible variations might attract interest in the neighborhood of $2,500 to $3,500, while particularly impressive high-grade examples could reach around $5,000 under favorable circumstances. Certain unusual mint anomalies might inspire collector competition approaching $6,000, and especially desirable rare collector pieces have sometimes been imagined in storytelling discussions near $7,500. These figures are examples only, never guarantees, because every coin must be judged individually according to authenticity, condition, rarity, and actual buyer demand at the time of sale. The storytelling becomes even more dramatic when exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples enter the conversation. A spectacular coin displaying extraordinary eye appeal, remarkable preservation, or a legitimately scarce production characteristic could inspire hypothetical discussions around $8,000, while unusual finds supported by strong collector demand are sometimes illustrated near $8,500. In the most extraordinary storytelling scenarios, historically significant examples or exceptionally rare authenticated pieces may be described as reaching up to $9,000, but such outcomes remain exceptional rather than typical. Discovering something of that caliber could feel emotionally comparable to a sudden windfall, helping fund a down payment on a home, or experiencing the kind of once-in-a-lifetime discovery that collectors dream about for years. Yet those outcomes should always be viewed as illustrative possibilities rather than promises. Anyone examining a 2021 Roosevelt dime should begin with careful observation instead of excitement. Confirm that the coin displays the correct silver-colored clad appearance rather than discoloration caused by damage or environmental exposure. Check its weight using an accurate digital scale, since meaningful differences can sometimes indicate an unusual planchet or postment alteration, requiring further investigation. Study the strike alignment to ensure the designs appear properly centered. Inspect the rim for complete and consistent formation. And examine every letter with magnification for genuine doubling rather than ordinary machine vibration or wear. Patience and careful comparison against normal examples often reveal whether a feature deserves additional attention. Professional authentication remains one of the most important steps before assigning significant value to any potentially rare coin. Reputable grading services evaluate authenticity, preservation, surface quality, strike characteristics, and possible mint errors using established standards recognized throughout the hobby. Their opinions help separate genuine mint-created anomalies from damage, cleaning, polishing, or alterations that occurred after the coin left the mint. Even experienced collectors rely on independent authentication when unusual discoveries appear promising, because an accurate professional assessment provides confidence for buyers, sellers, and future generations who may eventually inherit or collect the coin. Somewhere today, another ordinary-looking 2021 Roosevelt dime may already be resting inside a cash register, hidden in a forgotten piggy bank, tucked inside a family coin jar, or waiting quietly in someone's pocket without attracting a second glance. Most will remain worth only face value, yet history repeatedly reminds collectors that remarkable discoveries sometimes begin with the smallest coins and the sharpest eyes. That possibility keeps the search alive. encourages responsible examination, and reminds every collector to verify unusual finds through professional authentication before drawing conclusions. And just when you think you've uncovered every secret hiding inside the Roosevelt series, another astonishing coin with an even more unbelievable story may be waiting to completely change everything in the very next Search 2 Coin United States 1997 D Roosevelt dime. May look like one of the most ordinary coins ever struck. Yet its story begins inside the Denver Mint during a period when millions of Americans handled dimes every single day without giving them a second glance. Carrying the familiar portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse and the iconic torch flanked by olive and oak branches on the reverse, this small copper-nickel-clad coin represented both American history and everyday commerce. Produced in enormous numbers, it was never expected to become a headline-grabbing collectible, but time has shown that even the most common-looking coins can develop remarkable stories when unusual striking events, exceptional preservation, and unexpected mint characteristics enter the picture, turning an overlooked pocket coin into something collectors suddenly begin examining with far greater curiosity. The 1997 D. Roosevelt dime reflects decades of consistency in American coinage, yet every production run carries tiny differences born from the realities of high-speed minting. Thousands of dies were used, machines operated under constant pressure, and microscopic changes accumulated throughout production. While nearly every coin fulfilled its intended purpose, a tiny percentage emerged with subtle imperfections or extraordinary quality that separated them from the rest. Collectors have long appreciated how these differences transform an ordinary circulating coin into a fascinating piece of mint history, especially when sharp details, blazing original luster, and unusually crisp strikes survive decades of circulation without suffering the wear that claims most examples. Looking closely at a genuine 1997 D Roosevelt dime reveals details many people never notice. Roosevelt's hair should display defined texture, the lettering should appear sharp and evenly spaced, and the Denver D mint mark should sit cleanly without distortion. On the reverse, the torch flames, olive branch, and oak branch reveal surprisingly intricate engraving when viewed under magnification. The brilliant silver-colored outer layers conceal a copper core, sometimes visible as a faint reddish edge after years of circulation, while original mint state examples often retain vibrant cartwheel luster that dances under bright light. These visual characteristics become increasingly important because collectors often judge rarity not simply by date, but by overall eye appeal, strike quality, and originality. The real excitement begins when discussions turn toward mint errors and unusual varieties associated with coins from this era. Although dramatic errors remain genuinely scarce, specialists search for doubled letters, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, die chips, misaligned dies, weak strikes, broad strikes, and other production anomalies that escaped quality control. Even tiny signs of letter doubling around inscriptions or unusual strike alignment can transform an otherwise ordinary dime into an intriguing discovery worth further investigation. Every authenticated error tells the story of a split-second mechanical event inside the mint, preserving a manufacturing accident that collectors often find even more fascinating than the intended design itself. Imagine opening an old coin jar inherited from a grandparent or sorting through change after an ordinary trip to the grocery store, only to notice that one 1997 D Roosevelt dime seems just a little different from the rest. That single moment has fueled countless treasure hunting stories across America because the possibility, however small, keeps collectors searching year after year. Most coins prove completely normal, yet the anticipation never fades. Every handful of change becomes another chance to discover something overlooked for decades, and that emotional mixture of hope, patience, and curiosity is what makes coin collecting feel less like a hobby and more like an ongoing adventure hiding in plain sight. When values enter the conversation, perspective becomes essential because condition and authentication determine everything. Illustrative examples, not guarantees, show how certain minor but desirable variations could attract interest in roughly the $2,500 to $3,500 range under the right circumstances, while exceptional mint state examples with remarkable preservation might reach around $5,000 if supported by strong collector demand and professional grading. An unusual authenticated mint anomaly could potentially inspire values near $6,000, reminding collectors that rarity often depends on unique combinations of condition, originality, and documented production characteristics, rather than simply the date stamped on the coin. The storytelling becomes even more dramatic when especially desirable discoveries appear. A rare collector piece possessing outstanding eye appeal, strong provenance, or an unusual certified feature might illustrate market discussions around $7,500, while exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples could inspire attention near $8,000. Particularly unusual finds with unusually strong collector demand have been imagined around $8,500. And extraordinary or historically significant authenticated examples may be discussed up to $9,000 in illustrative scenarios. These figures are never guaranteed outcomes, but they demonstrate how dramatically rarity and preservation can influence value, sometimes representing the equivalent of a down payment on a home, an unexpected financial windfall, or what feels like a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Responsible examination is where every serious collector separates excitement from speculation. Begin by comparing the coin's weight against official specifications using an accurate digital scale. Observe whether the metal color appears normal or unusually different. Inspect the rim for complete and symmetrical formation, and carefully evaluate strike alignment to ensure the designs sit properly on both sides. Under magnification, inspect every letter for genuine doubling rather than ordinary machine strike effects, and pay close attention to the mint mark, date, and fine design elements. Small details often determine whether a coin is simply interesting or genuinely significant, making patience one of the collector's greatest tools. Professional authentication remains the final and most important step before assigning substantial value to any unusual 1997 Roosevelt dime. Cleaning, polishing, or altering a coin can permanently reduce collector interest, so preserving its original surfaces is always the wiser choice. Experienced grading professionals evaluate authenticity, surface preservation, strike quality, luster, and any genuine mint errors using standardized methods that provide confidence to both buyers and sellers. Their opinions help separate wishful thinking from documented rarity, ensuring that truly exceptional discoveries receive the recognition they deserve, while ordinary circulation coins continue serving as educational reminders of what collectors should watch for. The next time a 1997 Roosevelt dime slides across a checkout counter or rests unnoticed in a forgotten drawer, remember that history has repeatedly rewarded the people willing to slow down and look a little closer. Most examples will remain ordinary pieces of American pocket change, but every now and then an overlooked detail, a certified mint anomaly, or an extraordinary state of preservation reminds the collecting world that remarkable treasures can hide among the most familiar coins. And if this seemingly ordinary dime can keep such surprising secrets after all these years, just wait until you see the next shocking coin that has left collectors searching through every handful of change with renewed anticipation. Third coin 1995 Roosevelt dime, minted in Denver, quietly entered circulation during a decade when most Americans barely glanced at the small silver-colored coin passing from hand to hand. Yet behind its ordinary appearance lies a fascinating chapter of modern United States coinage. Produced at the Denver Mint and identified by the tiny D mint mark beside Roosevelt's portrait. This dime represents an era when millions of coins were struck with incredible speed and efficiency, making truly remarkable survivors far more elusive than many collectors realize. At first glance, it seems identical to countless other dimes, but subtle differences in strike quality, preservation, and unusual production quirks can transform what appears to be everyday pocket change into a coin that sparks excitement among experienced numismatists, proving that sometimes the greatest stories begin with the smallest pieces of metal. The obverse carries the familiar portrait of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, honoring the leader whose legacy became forever linked with the March of Dimes campaign, while the reverse proudly displays the Torch of Liberty standing between an olive branch representing peace and an oak branch symbolizing strength. Every detail on a sharply struck example tells its own story, from Roosevelt's hair and facial contours to the crisp lettering and the delicate horizontal and vertical bands across the torch. Because these tiny design elements wear quickly in circulation, examples preserving exceptional detail become increasingly desirable, allowing collectors to appreciate the artistry hidden within a coin that most people spend without a second thought. During production in Denver, high-speed presses struck enormous quantities of dimes using copper-nickel-clad planchets surrounding a pure copper core, creating the familiar silver appearance seen on the outside while revealing a copper-colored edge when viewed from the side. Even with advanced minting technology, tiny variations naturally occurred as dies aged, presses operated under intense pressure, and planchets moved rapidly through production lines. Those small differences can leave behind fascinating clues for careful observers, reminding collectors that every coin carries the fingerprints of the machinery and craftsmanship that brought it into existence during a busy year of American coin production. Collectors often become captivated by the possibility of discovering a coin displaying unusual characteristics such as doubled letters, slight die cracks, off-center strikes, die chips, broad strikes, clipped planchets, or other genuine mint-made anomalies. Most 1995 D Roosevelt dimes are completely normal, but every now and then a remarkable specimen surfaces that escaped quality control decades ago before entering circulation unnoticed. Stories of unexpected discoveries continue to inspire treasure hunters because they demonstrate that even a modern circulating coin can become the centerpiece of a collection when an authentic mint error combines with outstanding preservation and documented rarity. Condition plays an extraordinary role in determining collector interest, because millions of these dimes experienced years of everyday use in cash registers, vending machines, coin jars, and pockets. The difference between an average circulated example and a brilliantly preserved mint state coin can be dramatic, especially when the original mint luster remains vibrant, and the highest points of the design show virtually no wear. Specialists carefully search for sharp strike quality, smooth surfaces, strong torch details, and attractive eye appeal, understanding that exceptional preservation becomes increasingly scarce as decades pass and ordinary circulation gradually removes the qualities collectors prize most. As conversations turn toward value, excitement naturally begins to build, but every collector should remember that prices depend on authentication, condition, rarity, and market demand rather than hope alone. Illustrative examples help explain the possibilities without promising specific outcomes. A genuine variety with only minor but recognized characteristics might attract interest in the neighborhood of $2,500 to $3,500, while an outstanding high-grade example could illustrate a market around $5,000. An unusual authenticated mint anomaly might inspire attention near $6,000, and a scarce collector piece with exceptional desirability could illustrate values approaching $7,500. These figures are examples of potential market scenarios only, and should never be viewed as guaranteed prices for any individual coin. The story becomes even more dramatic when an exceptionally preserved coin combines remarkable eye appeal with a scarce, authenticated feature. Illustrative market discussions sometimes imagine uncommon examples reaching around $8,000, while unusual discoveries supported by strong collector demand may be discussed near $8,500. Particularly notable authenticated examples with extraordinary characteristics or historically important minting anomalies could occasionally be illustrated around $9,000, reminding collectors how dramatically rarity and demand can influence prices. Discovering a coin worthy of such attention could feel like finding a sudden windfall, making a meaningful contribution toward a down payment on a home, or experiencing the thrill of a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Yet every estimate remains hypothetical until confirmed by the marketplace and supported by professional evaluation. Anyone searching through rolls of dimes should approach the process patiently and responsibly by examining each coin under strong lighting and magnification. Verify the proper weight using a precise digital scale, because significant differences can indicate damage or an unusual planchet. Observe the metal color for signs of incorrect composition or environmental alteration. Inspect the edge for the expected copper core. Study strike alignment to ensure the designs are positioned correctly. And pay close attention to the rim shape for abnormalities created during minting. Look carefully for genuine letter doubling rather than machine doubling, remembering that many misleading effects result from wear or damage instead of true mint varieties, making expert knowledge invaluable. Professional authentication remains one of the most important steps before assuming that any unusual 1995 Roosevelt dime has extraordinary value. Independent grading services carefully evaluate authenticity, preservation, and mint-made characteristics, while separating genuine errors from post-mint damage that often deceives inexperienced collectors. A certified coin carries greater confidence within the marketplace, because buyers know trained specialists have examined its surfaces, measurements, and striking characteristics. That level of verification protects both collectors and sellers while ensuring remarkable discoveries receive the recognition they truly deserve instead of relying on speculation or wishful thinking. The next time a handful of loose change lands in your palm, remember that the humble 1995 Roosevelt dime may be hiding a story far greater than its 10-cent face value, quietly waiting for someone curious enough to notice the smallest detail everyone else ignored. Somewhere inside a forgotten coin jar, an old dresser drawer, a bank roll, or the bottom of a pocket, an overlooked treasure could still be waiting for its remarkable moment to shine, and the next coin you examine might completely change the way you look at everyday money. But if you think this modern dime holds surprising secrets, wait until you see the next astonishing coin whose hidden mystery has left even seasoned collectors speechless.